Everybody, thanks so much for being with us. We got a great show for you on this Tuesday. Ilhan Omar misspoke. We're going to play the clip in its full context. Really, we titled the show Making Fun of Ilhan Omar because, just to be perfectly honest, I don't like her. I don't like her politics. And also the memes that have been created in response to her saying that World War II, she called it World War XI because I don't know who would make that mistake, but she apparently did. We're going to talk about that. Also, James Comey has now been indicted for a second time. Also, one of Anthony Fauci's key lieutenants was indicted. We also have the Supreme Court of the state of Virginia saying that the lower court stay will remain in place, essentially saying you can't certify the elections that would give the Democrats this big 6-seat or 5-seat, 4-seat swing, whatever the number is. We got a ton of stuff to get to on the show today. The Paul Harrell program starts right now.
The Paul Harrell program.
All right, folks, thanks so much for being with us. As always, broadcasting live from the state of Arkansas here on LFA TV. Paul Harrell program over on YouTube as well as X and Facebook. As well as Hometown TV. A few programming notes, just a few housekeeping notes. We are in the midst of thunderstorms where we are in the Shire or Arkansas, and we may lose power. That's always a possibility. Specifically this time of year, we just survived a line of storms last night into the early morning hours. And we had a tornado on the ground close by. Anyway, it's that time of year, and it's not just happening in Arkansas. It's happening everywhere. But I say all that to say, if we lose power, Mr. Producer Eli is aware that they'll be putting something on in our place. But that may happen. We may just go dark, and I just wanted you to know that. But Eric Haynes is with us. Eric, how you doing, sir?
Great to be part of the conversation.
Yes, sir. It's always great to have you here.
Good to be here.
We're awaiting Rob's arrival. Maybe not. We don't really know. He's delayed for the moment right now, as far as we know. So, Ilhan Omar, did you see this clip?
I did indeed.
What were your thoughts? What was your first? Maybe we should play it first and then get your thoughts. Why don't we do
when
that?
do Somalis use Roman numerals? I mean, I don't see her as being a gifted Roman numeral person. So, I mean, wow.
Well, I mean, and that's the thing. Maybe that's right. Maybe that's it. It was Roman numerals in her mind when it was really just numbers.
She's an idiot, and idiots like her aren't gonna know the difference in the moment.
Oh my!
And they're just plowing through a teleprompter.
Well, here it is. This is the clip, and it's in its full context. I'm gonna play. They clipped it out right as she said it. Right. I'm gonna play the full thing. Just be perfectly transparent. I just think a flub like this is funny. And I already don't like Ilhan Omar. I don't like her politics. The phrase "paperwork American" is being cycled about because of this comment. What?
Well, she's got Mazie Hirono next to her, the other idiot from from Hawaii. That's her emotional support animal. That's right next to her.
What kind of animal is she, Eric?
I don't know.
All right, here we go. Here it is.
Act of 1798. The last time the Alien Enemies Act was invoked, it was used to detain and deport German, Japanese, Italian immigrants during World War XI.
Wait, does Mazie Hirono's face even change?
I don't know.
Because I know if it was me, I was standing next to her, I'd be like...
Or at least maybe you'd be like, You'd
catch it, right?
Oh.
But I don't think these people are smart enough even to catch it.
Well, I mean, Mazie Hirono is,
Bless her heart, she's a geriatric.
Or an NPC.
Yeah.
An NPC. There's a lot of people that...
She's like 100 years old.
There are a lot of people in the conspiracy world online that think that there are a lot of legit, like, non-playable characters. Like, just they're in a trance, they're robots. I mean, the list is pretty wide as to what they could be. Of people that are just like, there as like a gap filler, as a place filler, but they're not actually human.
I keep waiting for Will Smith and Tommy Lee Jones to come out in their Men in Black suits every once in a while and just like hit a button or something like that, and these people's heads just pop off or something like that.
Yeah.
Like eventually, it's going to happen to some of these Democrats.
Maybe that's what
Will
Alien.
Smith's going to be like, deep.
Maybe that's what Alien Disclosure is that there's a bunch of little men in in these flesh suits. All right, but let's back it up and let's listen to it in its full context.
Detain and deport German, Japanese, Italian immigrants during World War XI. Oh, two. Sorry. One of the most.
So
she did catch herself.
So
okay,
that's why
I missed that.
That's right. So the clip. Well, of course you missed it, but the clip that's going on, going around online, is doesn't put that into context that she did immediately catch herself.
Yeah. I only saw the clip last night.
But the thing is I'm really just not like I don't really care. It is just one of those things where I just already I'm not a fan of Ilhan Omar, and so she's gonna.
And she doesn't care either.
No.
She doesn't care about World War II. She doesn't care about America. She hates America. She hates you, and she hates me.
Right. She's only using this. Yeah, exactly. She's only using internment camps or whatever as a means to. This is the
her fellow fraudsters are getting paid
right
taxpayer money. And they're funneling it back
and
to
I don't think
Somalia.
it's a coincidence that she gives this speech yesterday, I believe.
Yeah,
and
I saw that last night.
And then this morning, what's going on? The federal government is raiding the Learing Center. That happened this morning. You don't think she knew that was coming? You don't think she maybe got a little tip that this was happening? And so she has, every bit of incentive to, the accountability that may or may not, but the accountability that may be headed her way, she's got to frame it as, they put Japanese people in internment camps, and so they're going to do the same thing to me because I'm Somalian.
Yeah.
This is the angle that she is vying for here. As I said earlier, though, the memes were...
Well, it's because she's racist, Paul. I mean... You and I aren't the only ones that get to be called racist. She's racist.
Against white people?
Yeah, against anyone that she doesn't like.
Yep.
Because they become a target for her victimhood. And then everyone just becomes, they're just a racist. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And Biden and everyone else kind of pushed that agenda along during those 4 years. So I don't.
No, I think you're right. I mean, 100%. That's obvious, that and her very existence in this country as a paperwork American, which is a phrase that's going around, which I'm totally fine with. As a paperwork American, her very existence or the continued immigration of her people into this country to get generational wealth from the government, it depends on the liberal sympathy and the empathy, toxic empathy, suicidal empathy that says we're going to bring the third worlders over here and we want them to be business owners. But guess what? They actually can't be business owners on their own. So we're just going to create fake businesses. And then those fake businesses are going to tithe the millions of dollars they get, billions of dollars they get back to NGOs, political campaigns like Ilhan Omar's, I suspect, and Governor Tim Walz, or any of the organizations that are adjacent to their goals. And Ilhan Omar she knows this, that her entire grift depends on keeping racism alive. Mm-hmm. And that's why the Justice Department exposing the Southern Poverty Law Center as creating race hoax and racial false flags is such a huge deal for these people.
You got to hope that she feels like the walls are caving in a little bit because she's had such free reins to, spew out her demonic tripe for so many years and sit in the halls of Congress up representing the people of Minnesota for so long. And for some reason, they haven't figured out that they need to vote her out. And she's, been able to maintain her position up there. I don't see how, but you got to hope that she does feel the pressure now of, maybe I can't be so audacious with my stupidity. as much as I have been, and
Yeah.
my pathetic victimhood racism.
She said World War 11, 2. You know, she immediately was like, "Oh no,
Yeah.
that's gonna get clipped."
Hey, who won number 7 or 8? We should have heard somebody from.
But as I said, the memes
press.
the memes are the reason I led with this story because a few of them, this was my favorite because it's a Lord of the Rings meme, so you have to indulge me. Bilbo is famous in the Lord of the Rings for celebrating his 111th birthday.
11th birthday.
11th birthday.
It sounded like he was wasted when he said that too.
A great,
111th birthday.
Yeah, it's a great.
If I go back and listen and watch.
It was
that
a great
movie,
performance.
It
No,
was.
I mean,
It was
I
good.
think he did that. Obviously, he did that on purpose, to make it look like he had one too many. But
of the mead.
Bilbo wondering if it's actually his 3rd birthday because
Oh,
you see there, 111th after Elon Omar.
Yeah.
Then we had these bangers, which was hang on, let me see if this will refresh. Then we have Star Trek 11: The Wrath of Ilhan. I thought that was a good one.
least it got-
JD Vance is Spock there, I think, and then that's Kirk as
Yeah.
Trump, and then Khan is Ilhan. But unfortunately, she hasn't been marooned on a desert planet. So,
she's no Ricardo Montalban.
Yes.
I'll tell you that much.
yes. What
He was so good in that movie.
Yeah, he was
Golly.
good. But what was he famous? He was famous for
Original.
rich Corinthian leather. He's famous for this commercial in the 70s.
Oh.
This car. Chat.
do tell.
What's the name of the car? It was a piece of junk, though. It was a piece. I wasn't alive
Ricardo
then.
Montalban was like the voice of.
He was the voice for this
car.
And in the ad, but I can't remember the name of it. But in the ad, it was like rich Corinthian leather. But what was the name of the car? I don't know. I mean, I'm sure we could just Google it.
Just say Pinto.
Let's
It'll be
see
fine.
does the chat remember? Does anybody in the
No.
chat remember?
Not yet.
They haven't responded yet. Let's see if the chat gets it before I Google.
All right.
All right, but anyway, so Ilhan Omar starring in Lord of the Rings: The 11 Towers. So
Oh, my goodness.
I thought that was pretty hilarious to me. And then we have Ilhan Omar says the Godfather 11 is overrated. Which is really good. If you'll notice our thumbnail for this program, I couldn't help it. There's people that tell you, hey, you need to make your titles and your thumbnails less artistic, and you need to make them more about what's trending. I certainly don't think that Spinal Tap is trending at all. The mockumentary there, but I couldn't help it. She goes to 11. These go to 11. So Ilhan Omar goes to 11. I don't know, for whatever. I'm not going to play the clip here because we'll for sure get a copyright strike if I do. But those of you that ever watched the old movie Spinal Tap,
Ricardo Montalban.
What
in
is
the
it?
Chrysler
what did it?
Cordoba.
Is that what it was?
Yeah, Corinthian leather. It's in parentheses. Yeah, 1975.
Did you Google it or did the
1978.
chat?
I did.
The chat get it?
I literally put up Ricardo Montalban car, and that's what came up.
Rich, yeah.
Oh, look, here's some people in the chat said it too.
Yeah, Cordoba.
Red, thank you,
Is this it right here?
and CMPK.
I know my own needs.
There it is.
And what I need from an automobile, I know I get from this new Cordoba. I could ask for nothing beyond the quality of Cordoba's workmanship, the tastefulness of its appearance. I request nothing beyond the thickly cushioned luxury of seats available even in soft Corinthian leather. Yet it is on the highway where Cordoba best answers my demands.
Rich Corinthian leather.
I have much more in this small Chrysler than great comfort at a most pleasant price.
That's the 70s
I have
version of
great
the Dos Equis
confidence.
commercial right
yeah,
there.
yeah, it is. So that's what it was.
Most
No wonder I
interesting
couldn't
man.
remember it. That's just
Who's ever-
A Chrysler Cordoba doesn't
Cordoba.
sound familiar at all, but I have it on good authority
Yeah.
that it was kind of a piece of junk car.
Yeah. And being as how I was in Memphis the other day, my mind, I can't even say Cordoba because I'm saying Cordova.
Cordova, yeah.
in my
Memphis,
head.
yeah.
Yeah.
Rich Corinthian. It is fun to say Corinthian leather.
Yeah.
Speaking of Corinthians, okay.
Whoa.
This-
pivot to
well-
Bible from.
This is relevant to the Ilhan Omar World War XI. So Trump took a lot of heat in his 2016 campaign when he was at Liberty University, and he quoted the Bible verse, and he said it's 2 Corinthians.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, and he took a lot of heat for that, which I get. It's 2 Corinthians, right? We all know that. It kind of shows that he's not a Bible reader. It doesn't kind of show that. It does show that. But he didn't say 11 Corinthians. He said 2 Corinthians instead of 2 Corinthians. The man knew that it was, 2.
Yeah.
He didn't think it was 11. So, I mean, it's
Good
really,
point.
It's not. That's my point. That's my point, folks.
Like I said, the Somalians and their Roman numerals are not simpatico.
Well, so this is actually a good segue. This is when you think of paperwork Americans and what it means to be American versus heritage Americans, as some might say, people that have their ancestors have been here for generations. It is interesting that King Charles is on a state visit right now to the United States. He's met with President Trump. He also gave a speech in front of Congress, which is it's very interesting if you think about it.
Yeah, I watched it all. It was really good.
Well, I have mixed feelings about it. I
Sure.
do think there's something interesting about we're going to celebrate our 250th anniversary as a country. It's going to be a celebration. There is something about the king coming over and, acknowledging this 250 years of separation.
Yeah.
There is something interesting about it, I suppose. If you'd have told King George in some correspondence back in the day, hey, we're going to be so successful someday, you're going to be here for our 250th anniversary, and you're going to essentially be our vassal state, if that's even true. And I don't know if it is with the financial control the city of London still has. But, you've got the whole. I'm sorry, you do have the Epstein cloud hanging over. You have, you have the Prince Andrew thing, but you also have, King Charles, who was pretty good friends from what I can tell with reports from that pedophile TV host Savile. Do you remember the kids TV host?
Yeah.
What's his face, Seville or whatever? Yeah. So, So at that point, you have to divorce yourself from that and you say, well, this is just, the heads of state getting together and it is what it is. But, I don't trust King Charles at all. I don't trust his really strange painting that they unveiled of him after he was coronated. That just seems very odd and demonic. It's like, it's very strange and blood-like. It's just so odd to me. But all of that to say, all of my, I don't trust anybody. All of that to say, President Trump, I think, did a really good job, and whoever wrote this speech did an excellent job of kind of boiling what this meeting is and boiling it down to the fact that the colonialists in the 18th century were English. They were Englishmen, and that our country would not exist had we not had an English, and he says Anglo-Saxon spirit about us. And he even says that America is not an idea. I want you to listen to this speech because I thought this was really powerful, and it was kind of music to my ears, quite honestly. Listen.
Here in the shadows of monuments to George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, honoring the British King might seem an ironic beginning to our celebration of 250 years of American independence. But in fact, no tribute could be more appropriate. Long before Americans had a nation or a constitution, we first had a culture, a character, and a creed. Before we ever proclaimed our independence, Americans carried within us the rarest of gifts, moral courage, and it came from a small but mighty kingdom from across the sea. For nearly 2 centuries before the Revolution, this land was settled and forged by men, women who bore in their souls the blood and noble spirit of the British. Here on a wild and untamed continent, they set loose the ancient English love of liberty and the Great Britain's distinctive sense of glory, destiny, and pride. And that's what it is: glory, destiny, and pride. The American patriots who pledged their lives to independence in 1776 were the heirs to this majestic inheritance. Their veins ran with Anglo-Saxon courage. Their hearts beat with an English faith in standing firm for what is right, good, and true. In recent years, we've often heard it said that America is merely an idea, but the cause of freedom did not simply appear as an intellectual invention of 1776. The American founding was the culmination of hundreds of years of thought, struggle, sweat, blood, and sacrifice on both sides of the Atlantic. Fate drew a long arc from the meadow at Runnymede to the streets of Philadelphia that ran through the lives of people born and bred on the British code that no man should be denied either justice or right. American patriots today can sing, "My country, 'tis of thee, sweet land of liberty," only because our colonial ancestors first sang, "God save the King."
I mean, that's a good speech, man.
Yeah.
That's a good speech. And it flies in the face of this idea that you hear from the donor class of the Republican Party and certainly the left, which is, oh no, America's an idea. And they don't say that we have magic soil, but to hear them talk, you almost have to assume that, oh, we have magic soil. Anybody can come here, and once you're here, you're an American. Which is just not the case when they come here and then use the system to basically totally undo what was built here. And that's why this speech specifically was placed right after this Ilhan Omar clip, because,
the irony was not lost on me today in watching all of King Charles's speech.
So you watched the whole thing?
I watched the whole thing. I made a couple mental notes about a couple of things he said in regards to support of Ukraine and climate change and global warming that were kind of just goofy. But he's part of a party that's in third place, if you think about it, in England. I mean, the Labour Party is like third tier. There's two other parties that are more prominent in England. But the irony was that when you looked across at the response there in the room, just like boisterous laughter and applause and multiple standing ovations, and Democrats literally like Tucker Carlson giddy at his speech. The king. And the amount of disrespect that they pay to our elected president of the United States. And they're sitting there at the edge of their seats ready to jump up and clap at every, period in King Charles's sentence after recently supporting and funding these No Kings rallies. It's just...
I had not even thought of that.
Irony of all of that going on at the same time and seeing these... And the cameras are panning at looking at the Democrats the whole time because for once... They weren't sitting there stone cold faced with their hands underneath them.
They actually had something to celebrate.
Idiots like Ilhan Omar and her ilk yelling and screaming profanity at the president who's making a speech, and instead they're like at King Charles. And I that was the weirdest thing to me, was to see the halls of Congress united in applause and standing ovations for King Charles, and yet when the president speaks about things we're dealing with here and shows victims up that are special guests that have gone through some of the most gut-wrenching and horrible things in their life, they sit on their hands and they can't even dignify those people to clap for them, but they'll clap for a king.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a really, I hadn't thought about that. It totally was lost on me. Maybe I've just I haven't even heard anybody make that comparison. But yeah, I mean, it's just
It just felt ironic.
blatant,
It was like,
blatant hypocrisy is what it is.
totally.
Blatant hypocrisy. I'll say this too, though. I think like the culmination as we kind of build towards July 4th of this year, and again 250th anniversary and everything else. The more we focus on our founding and what the American Revolution actually was, which was a rejection of the modern day globalism of that time, something that you thought was impossible, which very much feels impossible today in a lot of ways. The system is so stacked against us. There's so much corruption. There are two tiers of justice. We're in the middle of this new, it feels like a neo-feudalism where you're told that you have a choice, but you really don't. And it's very, it might be very similar. Maybe, I don't know, but it may be very similar to how a lot of the colonialists felt, which is why so many of them, it was a minority of the people that actually wanted to fight. And you had more royalists, you had more loyalists than you had people that wanted to put their lives on the line to be free, because they were going up against the most powerful military force in the world at that time, and they were literally had to put their lives on the line and throw away the security of the British government, because there was some security they were providing in order to have liberty. They were trying to get more liberty, but in order to do that, they had to walk away with what they did have, which wasn't a lot, because Parliament obviously was not respecting. Well, it was really the King's fault. I mean, it was the King George. In my opinion, from a biblical standpoint, King George was in violation of Romans chapter 13. And a lot of people may disagree with that, but this is why the American Revolution was a just war. It was a just war because all of our legislators, or our House of Commons or whatever, in the 13th colonies, they had their own legislative bodies, and they all pledged to the king. They said, hey, the king, we're going to pledge our fealty to you as long as you do certain things. This is an agreement that had been established for a while, right? We pledge your loyalty to the king, and then the king has responsibilities to you. Well, in this instance, the king had a responsibility to the individual parliaments of the states, but instead he was letting the British Parliament, which on paper was not supposed to be superior. You had one king at the top, and you had 14 parliaments, right? You had the British Parliament, and then you had the other 13 that were, this was how it was supposed to work. But when King George said no, I'm going to let this parliament rule over all of these others, that was when it was like, okay, now you're in violation of essentially the law.
Right.
And that's one of the reasons why they broke off. Now, interestingly enough, one of the things that we should know, I think maybe not as much about the American Revolution, but we should know a lot more than we do, is the English Civil War. Because 100 years or so before King George, you had King Charles and Oliver Cromwell, and King Charles had his head chopped off by Parliament, because King Charles was not listening to Parliament. So 100 years later, you've got King George what does he not want to do? He doesn't want to overrule Parliament, because there's been a precedent established about if you push Parliament enough, there'll be a civil war and they'll chop kings' heads off. So you see how weird all that works out to yada, 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 we get independence.
Yeah.
There's enough political will. And by the way, war is a political tool. That's what war is.
What I saw today was a Democratic Party of senators and representatives on half of that entire floor watching a speech, and they were more loyal, giddy, and in touch with a king than the President of the United States that they hate. They loved him today. It was weird.
That is weird.
They were clapping like seals.
Well, it is very, I actually didn't see it. So, but I take your word for it, Eric.
Yeah.
We also have this news. Speaking, I was about to go here, actually. James Comey has been indicted a second
You
time.
see that look on his face?
I know.
Yikes.
So this is from WND. James Comey, the ex-chief of the FBI, who played a large role in weaponizing the federal government against President Donald Trump, specifically during the Democrats' pursuit of the false Russiagate conspiracy theory, has been indicted a second time. The exact charges haven't been announced following the dismissal of an earlier indictment for lying to Congress because of a technicality. It was CNN that cited sources that this was a development. Now, this was a couple of hours ago, I think, when this broke. There's a little bit more specific about this. They're now saying, Fox News is reporting that the reason James Comey has faced this second indictment is because of what he wrote at the beach, or at least what he said he found at the beach. I should be clear. James Comey wants you to believe that he found some seashells on the beach that said 84 or 8647. He didn't make them, he says. He found them and took a photo of it, which was essentially the former FBI director, essentially the shadow head of the intel oligarchy. That's who he is. That's who he is. Obama. They all represent this cabal of people that have run a color revolution against the United States and our people here, and against President Trump. It was calling for the murder of President Trump. That's what 86 means. Hey, we need to 86 this guy. It is not just something that's in restaurant talk. It is clearly it's a common phrase, and the idea the FBI director wouldn't know this, which is what he claimed. Well, I didn't know what it meant. You're a total liar and a moron.
Yeah.
Fox News is claiming that is that's the reason it's for the 86. Let's listen.
Former FBI Director James Comey for a second time. Justice correspondent David Spunt's got the story. He's here in Washington. Hey, David, they're going to go at it again.
John, they're going at it again, not even a year after they went at it after the first time. We're told this via several law enforcement sources. We're told this is related to an Instagram post from the former FBI director last year when he posted on the beach. You may remember there was a formation of shells that said 8647 that were in that pairing of 8647, and he said something along the lines of, "Isn't this a curious formation that I just found while walking on the beach?" Well, critics to that post immediately pointed out that 86, at least in the restaurant world, means to get rid of or to kill something from a menu, 47 meaning the 47th president of the United States. So Comey did speak with the Secret Service, did speak with federal investigators. At the time he was interviewed last spring or early last summer, shortly after that happened. No charges were ever filed, but now it appears that he has been indicted today. We're working to learn more about the indictment. We're waiting to see if officials have anything to say on this. That is the post.
Yeah, there it is. There it is on the seashells, the sand. 8647.
You know who I bet saw that post by James Comey?
Who?
Cole Thomas Allen.
Yeah, I bet he did as well.
I mean, and we can blow this off as, not going after somebody for some stupid social media related post. But the thing is that crazy deranged leftists like Cole Thomas Allen, they see that crap. And who's to say that that wasn't one of 100 other things, like so many other Democrats spew out, people like Maxine Waters and all these that are blowing at the mouth about revolution and fighting and taking it to the streets, and Gavin Newsom's and others saying rise up and who's to say that Cole Thomas Allen didn't see that and say, you know what, 86 and 47 would be a pretty good idea.
Well, we can. I totally believe that somebody like Cole Thomas Allen saw that post and he thinks that James Comey's a Boy Scout, and he thinks that probably all of these guys, James Comey built his reputation on being this nonpartisan actor. But, I mean, if you actually know where to look, this guy is as partisan as they come.
Yeah. And
I go back to the George Snuffleupagus interview from last year where he sits down with James Comey and Snuffleupagus is like, hey, you briefed the president on this, Russian dossier. Did you knew that, you knew at the time it was funded by his opposition. did you tell the president that? And he says, no. And then Snuffleupagus, to his credit, says, well, don't you think that he was entitled to know that? And the answer that James Comey gave was something that a sociopath would get, or maybe a psychopath. I mean, the type of the constant lying that this man has to do is something. I mean, it's like it needs to be studied. Yeah, because it was terrifying. Because it was an honest question. Like, you knew that this was funded by the person that he just beat, and you briefed him on it and you led him to believe that you thought it was legitimate. Yeah. When you knew it was funded by Hillary Clinton's campaign, and you didn't tell him. It's just insane what a crazy. This guy should be in jail for that. This guy should be in jail for so many things. And I don't care how you have to get any of these guys. I mean, I'm not going to complain. I mean, I hope I don't complain about it. Assuming that these things lead to actual convictions and we don't have this Lindsey Halligan disaster that we had last time, and we have so many communists in the DOJ that they have refused to fire. They didn't do what they should do. I still don't trust Todd Blanche, although it is interesting that this is happening after the failed assassination attempt. It's like, okay, they've been working on this, and they're like, you know what? The rhetoric, there's got to be a real price that's paid. We were talking yesterday. You asked, well, what is a real price? Because the left has this monopoly on political violence. They always get a pass.
That's right.
And they're going to continue unless they pay a price.
That's right.
And you said, what is that price? And I didn't have a specific answer, but I was talking about like the violence against children, and the trans stuff, trans surgeries. Like, there are things that can be done to make them pay a price for their evil opinions and evil, the modern iteration of the Democrat Party. There's aspects of that have to be made illegal. Yeah, in my opinion.
I didn't have a crystal ball, but like, this is the kind of stuff that I'm talking about.
That's
right
what I'm
here.
telling you. This is a price to pay.
This stuff has to be rooted out and called out as being wrong. We have to stop turning the other cheek, or just assuming the best in the Democrats, or blowing it off as like, oh, why can't we all just get along? Here, let's let bygones be bygones and let this stuff fly. No.
It is not unreasonable.
Cut it out.
Like, this guy,
it's a cancer. Cut it out.
This guy, James Comey, was one of our country's top spies.
Yes.
He was law enforcement. No, he is one of the country's top spooks.
Yes.
And it's incumbent on him to prove, as the nation's top spook, that he wasn't sending a coded message to the people who are loyal to James Comey and not loyal to the FBI or to President Trump or whoever's currently in control of the government.
Right.
It's not a crazy thing to think this was an actual coded message to people that they need to kill President Trump.
Right.
And because this guy was the former head of the FBI, who was fired by President Trump, who's never gotten over it, who was leaking things to the media that were not true, essentially putting this country through, half of the country believing that we had a guy being blackmailed by Vladimir Putin in the White House, when in reality, the declassified documents now reveal that Putin had blackmail on Hillary.
Yeah. Comey is not Cole Thomas Allen. Comey was the former director of the stinking FBI. That's the difference, too. Like, he has to be held to a higher standard than that. And things like that have to be called out as completely wrong. Like, that's why I'm glad that there's some accountability here.
Absolutely.
And, I get it that we want to move on from this and move on to other things, but do I think that Pam Bondi would have gone after Comey like this? Nope.
Well, she tried and failed. I mean, that failure's on her. The attorney that didn't want to bring the charges, they were letting the statute of limitations run out. Then they put Lindsey Halligan at their last minute, and then the judge threw out the case because of how Lindsey Halligan was appointed at the last minute.
Let's make this
embarrassing.
Let's make this part 2 have some claws and have some stick to it, and hopefully it sends a message, and hopefully this continues for all these other leftist idiots that want to incite violence and encourage people like Cole Thomas Allen to go do the things that they do.
So it is 41 minutes past the hour, and we're going to take a quick break and reset here. Don't go anywhere, folks. This is the Paul Harrell program, and we're going to be back here in just a moment.
For centuries, light has been used to heal. Awaken the body with Red 5.
Why is Red Vibe different? What sets it apart? What sets us apart from the standard red light panels? This is a medical grade device, and what that means is the red light bulbs and the near infrared bulbs have very specific wavelengths. If you think about the wavelength as the medicine, the 635, the 670, the 810, the 850, those were specifically chosen because those are the most powerful effectors of the cells. So those specific wavelengths, when they get into our body, when they affect our tissue, they spike energy production, they help with nerve pain control, they increase stem cell counts. There's very specific mechanisms that those specific wavelengths work at, and that's the medicine. So if you think of, say, medicine as an Advil or a specific steroid or a blood pressure medication, the wavelength is the medication. The other part of that, whenever you take a medication, is dose. Right? So you have the medication. So if you take 1 milligram of Advil, and the average dose of an Advil is 200 milligrams to 800 milligrams, it's not going to work. That doesn't mean the medicine's bad. It just means you didn't take enough. Right? And so even if you have the right wavelengths, first you have to have the right medicine, and then you have to have the right dose. And to have the right dose, you have, in light therapy, you have to have enough energy. So you have to have a powerful bulb. The LED bulbs, or light emitting diodes, have a specific wavelength, and that wavelength is the medicine. And the wavelengths that have been studied and published on that are the most powerful in affecting healing and the changes that we want to see with our bodies and our health are the 635 wavelength, the 670, 810 nanometer wavelength, and 850 nanometer wavelength. Those are all going to affect the mitochondria, the cytochrome C oxidase, and affect those powerful long-term changes and affect that downstream pathways. And that's what you get with Red Vibe devices. The highest efficacy, the best wavelengths, concentrated to help your health.
This is our family dog, Bubba. He is a Shorty Jack Russell, and he brings a lot of love and laughter into our home. We just want to thank Pet Club for making healthy food and treats for our animals. Bubba has been on Pet Club food for a little over a year now. He really likes the Sequoia dry food, and then I put a scoop of the Sequoia wet dog food in there with some hot water and stir it up, and he absolutely loves it. And he likes the mush puppies, but his ultimate favorite is the antlers. Those keep him busy for a really long time, and he really likes them. It makes us feel really good that the food and treats that we give him have healthy ingredients in them, because we want him to be around for a really long time. Our previous dog was a lab, and his name was Titus, and we fed him in bulk, and we would just get his food from the big box grocery stores. And unfortunately, that food wasn't very healthy for him, and he ended up getting cancer and passing away. So we didn't want to make that mistake with Bubba, so we were really fortunate to find Pet Club and find some really healthy food for him to eat. So we would just like to thank Pet Club, and we just really appreciate the healthy food that they make, so we can keep this guy around as long as we can.
The Paul Harrell Program.
All right, folks, welcome back to the show on this Tuesday. Really do appreciate it. Can't do the program without you watching, broadcasting live from the state of Arkansas. We're going to cut right back to this James Comey story, because during the break, we checked the interwebs, and Todd Blanche has given a press conference. James Comey is reportedly facing 20 years in prison. Listen to this.
Good afternoon. Today, a grand jury sitting in the Eastern District of North Carolina returned an indictment against James.
Stop. So, first off, the Eastern District of North Carolina, which is not Washington, D.C. and Virginia.
Right.
This is in...
They had to get this out of there.
Well, because, where was the beach?
Right.
What beach was he on? Well, it looks like he was on a North Carolina beach when he posted this.
It's like he acted like Bob Ross, the painter, when he happened upon this little. Oh, I just happened upon this cute little these little shells and these little rocks. I'm gonna paint this little happy little 8746.
James Comey on 2 counts. Sorry. The first count is that on or about May 15th of last year, he knowingly and willfully making a threat to take the life of and to inflict bodily harm upon the President of the United States. Count 2, same day, May 15th, 2025, that the defendant, James Comey, knowingly and willfully transmitting in interstate commerce a communication that contained a threat to kill the President of the United States. Both of these counts carry a maximum term of imprisonment of 10 years.
They put Douglas Mackey in jail for posting a meme about that you could text your vote to vote for Hillary Clinton. You remember that?
Yeah.
Text Hillary to vote for her. They put that man in jail for that. And it was a hilarious joke. And anybody that believed it should not be voting. Anybody who believed that should not be voting. That was clearly comedy. Okay? This is a message, is what this is. This is sending a message. And they better get a conviction here. It'd be one thing if I said that. It'd be one thing if Thomas Allen said that. But guess what? There'll be less Thomas Collins will think twice about posting something like that, let alone going and assassinating him. If we start to set a precedent that says if the former head of the FBI, one of the nation's top spies, and sitting atop the intel oligarchy, you may not threaten the president. You may not even post something that could be perceived as a threat. You can't accidentally post something that is a threat to the President of the United States if you are the director of the FBI or the former director of the FBI. You may not do it in this country. We are not going to tolerate that kind of nonsense. The same thing goes for Senator Mark Kelly, who's a former military guy, telling the soldiers, hey, don't follow orders. You can't do that either, by the way. You can't. So, I mean, I didn't think that. I mean, it's incredible. It's not far enough. Let me qualify. But this is good. We've got several instances where it looks like there's some accountability happening, and I think they should get James Comey for being a traitor, specifically for framing President Trump for treason. Looks like, I don't know if they're going to get him for that. We'll see. Maybe there's going to be a superseding indictment out of the grand jury Florida. But this is a specific case, and he faces up to 20 years in prison for this.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what do you think? Because I wish Rob were here, because Rob had mixed feelings when I told him on the text message, I'm not so sure about this. But I just think from a standpoint of who you are matters. And when you are the former head of the FBI, you cannot post anything that even could possibly be thought of as a direct threat on the president's life.
I see Rob's point in that prior to all these assassination attempts and all of this violence committed by the left, or attempted violence committed by the left, historically you would have just laughed that off as something so stupid, right? Totally agree. It's just something so stupid. However, to the point we made a while ago, no, I'm sorry, Mr. Comey. You were the head of the FBI, and you do need to be held to a different standard. You are not little Mr. Teacher Cole Thomas Allen living with your mom and daddy in California. We expect that of idiots like that. We don't expect that kind of behavior about 86ing the president.
You're not a Reddit poster, or are you? Or are you a Reddit poster?
Yeah, you're not some pink-haired doofus Antifa kid running around at some little rally in Seattle. No, you're the former head of the FBI, privy to some of the most confidential and vital intel and information in the world. And so, no, you cannot just Bob Ross yourself into a happy little picture on the beach about 86ing our president and then getting off scot-free anymore. Sorry, those days are over. It's 5-alarm emergency now. We're not going to take this anymore until somebody finally does get a crack at our president and unalives him because of the nonsense that you and all the other Democrat leaders that are currently and continuously still spewing to the media and to those that are listening to them.
Well, so yeah, I mean, when you say those days are over, yeah, this is the beginning of those stuff like this. Examples like this is the beginning of it being over. Because if you do go after the people at the top, then it calms down the people, the radical base. The reason I mentioned Reddit is because there's this. I think it's a pretty well proven conspiracy theorist that Ghislaine Maxwell. I've never been a Redditor. Well, I guess I did try out Reddit years ago, and immediately somebody was like, "Hey, have you ever tried Reddit?" And so I got on Reddit, and I was like, "This is just total leftist propaganda. Like, everything about it was just horrible." And I knew immediately, and I deleted my account because I thought it was dumb. But the way it works is you have these karma points, I think, and there's some sort of a reward system. I don't know how you get them, but like the more points that you have, the more influential you are. So if you like something, or if you can really send the news, or you can bury the news if you want, if you're a big account. Well, Ghislaine Maxwell, people thought that they figured out that she was, they figured out a Reddit account, right? And they go back and they look at all these stories and stuff that she had downplayed, and she had downplayed, the way if my memory serves correct, she had downplayed stories about, pedophilia and public officials and all that stuff. And that's what anyway, my point is the idea that James Comey and that these intel oligarchs don't have their own Reddit accounts that are very influential and can promote what they want to promote and diminish what they want to diminish. If Ghislaine Maxwell was doing it, I guarantee you James Comey has a Reddit account. Or at least that's my opinion. There's now an arrest warrant. James Comey this time around is not being given a court summons. They've issued a warrant for his arrest. Here is CNN's coverage of that.
We do. I'm looking at this docket, Casey, as the prosecutors are putting different things in there. And there's an arrest warrant that is in the docket for James Comey. I was able to see it through the court's system, and it says that the marshals are being asked to both provide Comey with the indictment, and they are issuing an arrest warrant. We don't know what that means, but I will say, as far as the docket goes, it's a very different thing than how this played out in the Eastern District of Virginia when Comey was indicted there on the perjury count. A summons was issued instead, so that would be a direct missive to Comey to say it's time to appear in court to face this charge on said day. That's a bit of a different thing. But, Casey, this is a very fluid situation given that we are just getting court documents in one at a time. I am able to see the warrant request from the Justice Department potentially escalating things in a way that they hadn't with the Eastern District of Virginia perjury case previously against Comey. That
you couldn't pick a better time to do this.
Yeah. Carl took the words out of my mouth in the chat, too. Like, Comey's obviously going to play this off as free speech, and I didn't mean anything by that. Like, chill. But all I want is the mugshot. I just want that mugshot of Comey. That will be enough to at least send a message, because whether they get a conviction or not, who knows where he's going to go as far as his defense of, oh, I didn't know. It was just a happy little bunch of shells. Whatever. I just want the mugshot, because that means he was arrested. Handcuffs were involved.
Yeah, sorry, I was just trying to find the actual indictment so I could read it. No, I agree with you. It's kind of funny. the mighty Jim Comey might be taken down by shells.
Yes.
Seashells.
Yes.
Seashells. Here's the thing: if he does get indicted, if he does get a mugshot, will the left be wearing that mugshot around or memeing the mugshot the way we did Trump?
Trump will frame it and put it in the White House. Prediction.
I mean, if any,
it will be in a White House bathroom.
Probably will.
Right above a urinal. It'll be in a White House bathroom. I'm going to make that prediction right now, and we'll get a tweet from Hegseth or VP Vance or something like that saying, "You'll never guess what I saw when I went in the can today."
Back when I worked at the radio, back when I worked at a radio station, there were two radio groups in the town, competing.
Yes.
We don't have to name names, but one of the bathrooms, one of the toilets had the bumper stickers
right
from the other radio station lining the toilet bowl. So every time you took a leak, you were peeing on the logos of the competition, which I thought was pretty funny. So who knows? Here is the indictment. On or about May 15th, 2025, in the Eastern District of North Carolina, the defendant James Bryan Comey Jr. did knowingly and willfully make a threat to the life of and to inflict bodily harm upon the President of the United States, in that he publicly posted a photograph on the internet social media site Instagram, which depicted seashells arranged in a pattern making out 8647, which a reasonable recipient who is familiar with the circumstances would interpret as a serious expression of an intent to do harm to the President of the United States in violation of Title 18 United States Code Section 871A. Count 2, on or about May 15th, 2025. So the first one is you had intent
knowingly
to
and
go.
willfully.
You wanted him dead, and we think you would have acted on it, which, again, people say, well, that's ridiculous. James Comey's not going to do it himself. Dude, this could be a communication to the people loyal to Comey still at the FBI.
They must
or
have
in the
something
Secret
else
Service.
too. They might have a text or something
who knows?
from somebody that they've uncovered.
That's a great,
that says like that he texted somebody and be like, "You'll never know. You'll never guess what I just did with these shells on the beach."
Exactly.
Like, I think they have something. Whether it's
they better.
Smoking gun.
They better.
I think they have something else. So that's what I'm preparing myself for them to have.
Count 2, on or about
else.
May 15th, 2025, in the Eastern District of North Carolina, the defendant James Bryan Comey Jr. knowingly and willfully did transmit in interstate and foreign commerce a communication that contained a threat. This could also have been going to foreign governments. A communication contained a threat to kill the President Donald J. Trump, specifically by publicly posting a photograph on the internet social media Instagram, which depicted seashells arranged in the pattern of 8647, which a reasonable recipient who is familiar with the circumstances would interpret as a serious expression of intent to do harm to President Trump in violation of Title 18 United States Code 875C. So I love this phrase in both counts. A person who is a recipient who is familiar with the circumstances. So what are those circumstances? The circumstances are that you're the former head spy in all the land, privy to all kinds of information that nobody has. You also were fired by President Trump unexpectedly, and it launched into this. The circumstances here are. There's a lot of context. There's a lot of context to the circumstances that led him to make this post. And again, we don't know if he assembled the seashells, but I think it's highly likely that he did. So we'll see what kind of evidence they have.
Yeah.
When they start filing notices and we get to discovery and everything else. Let's see. Okay, that's just I don't really know what forfeiture notice. But anyway, so there is an arrest warrant out for James Comey. This is a big deal. And then in other news, if we go down this accountability rabbit hole, well, I just wanted to point this out. This made me laugh. This is the courtroom sketch of Cole Thomas Allen.
Oh.
This is the sketch. This is what he looked like as he was at his arraignment. Prison Mitch says,
Oh, gosh.
man, the courtroom sketch artist took away one of Cole Thomas Allen's chromosomes.
Definitely not a flattering image.
No, it is not. But in other news on the accountability front, this happened today.
Aids targeting federal fraud currently underway. Federal agents seen leaving the Quality Learning Center. And Brooke Taylor has more on that.
How dare you, Bill Hemmer? How dare you pronounce it Learning Center, bro?
Leering, bro.
Come on. How dare you? Bill Hemmer, come on, man. It's the Quality Learing Center. It's what is spelled on the sign.
Currently
I guess
underway,
they changed the sign.
A federal agent seen leaving the Quality Learning Center. And Brooke Taylor has more on that and what they're looking for. Brooke, good morning.
Hi, Bill. Good morning. Yeah, we have had a
So on this, so it was a bunch of places. Before we get to him, let's go here. Bill Mulligan, DOJ confirms to Fox News, the FBI and HSI agents are currently raiding 20-plus locations in Minneapolis, Minnesota area in relation to the ongoing federal fraud investigations. Sources tell Fox the locations are largely Somali-linked businesses, including the infamous Quality Learning Center. I'm told these are court-approved search warrants being served, and they are tied to fraud, not immigration enforcement. Fox is told 22 search warrants were executed in Minnesota this morning. DOJ spokesperson holding the statement. Today, the FBI with federal and state and local law enforcement is involved in court-authorized law enforcement activities, part of an ongoing fraud investigation. You wanted to ask me a question about this story, but you may feel differently about it now.
Yeah, I was going to say that helps. I want to, get into the guts of these other 20-plus locations. I just think that the Learing Center, how many weeks has it been since the initial Nick Shirley investigation?
It's been a long time, and then there was an alleged break-in.
I'm not a fraudster, and I'm not a crook, but I've seen enough movies to know that, you're going to get all the stuff, the incriminating stuff out of a place like that and either burn it, shred it, or move it to another location. So these raids, I don't know what purpose they're serving so much other than maybe just the look of it and maybe sending out a message to others like, hey, you'll eventually get caught, but
yeah, I don't know.
There needs to be more than just walking in 2 months later.
Yeah, the Quality Learing Center, you're right. That place was probably cleaned out, and then they said that they got broken into after the coverage went viral, and of course, I don't believe that at all. But the other ones, you would think that they maybe were unsuspecting, but maybe not. There has, to your point though, there's been a lot of time between now and then for them to get rid of any incriminating evidence.
Will it be 2 months from now before we see raids on all of the hospice centers in California? That's $140 billion in Medi-Cal fraud, potentially, that is already being tabulated as, that was fraud. $140 billion. Is it going to be 2 months later before we see raids there? Because if it is, those places will all be cleaned out. They'll have moved on. There will be a different address, and they'll just creep back up.
The same with the Indians H-1Bs down in Texas, and what Tyler Oliveira posted. They've got to be making huge changes there as well. So then the question becomes, how much of this stuff is digitized?
Yeah.
How much of this stuff can be they already have? With search warrants to seize the stuff that may be in the cloud. How much of this stuff is really on paper?
Good point.
Or the stuff, I guarantee you they're seizing hard drives, and you may think you've deleted something, but you haven't. We all know that there's all sorts of forensic tools that they have that, to recover anything that they need. Are they really going to devote those kind of resources to this? Well, they should. The American people are demanding it. But this is J.D. Vance's project here. You have to assume that J.D. Vance is responsible for the criminal referrals that got to this point in the first place. How did Governor Tim Walz react to this? He's taking credit for it. Incredible post by Tim. I've become good friends with school shooters Walz. He posted on X, if you commit fraud in Minnesota, you're going to get caught. Sorry. And I'll be your friend. And that's exactly what we saw today. We watch criminals when state and federal agencies share information. We catch criminals.
You sound like Geppetto.
Joint investigations work, and securing justice depends on it. And then he goes on, today's raids by state and federal law enforcement happened because our state agencies caught irregular behavior and reported it. That's how the system is supposed to work, and our agencies will keep at it as long as there are fraudsters around to put behind bars. Now let's work on a joint investigation into the killing of Alex Preddy and Renee Good instead of cherry-picking when we seek justice and when we turn a blind eye. Aaron McIntyre responding to that right below it. You know you're going to jail, right?
Right.
Alex Rosen, who is famous for pedo poachers or pedophile poachers, he goes around and sets up stings and catches the worst of the worst. He caught somebody here in Arkansas. By the way, the one he caught in Arkansas, Alex Rosen, it was in Stuttgart. He was in because I follow him on X, and he was like, I'm in Stuttgart, Arkansas. They caught a guy on the way to meet a girl, okay, that he thought was an underage girl, and he had in his truck he had a gun, which at first I was like, okay, no big deal. It's Arkansas. Everybody has a gun.
Yeah.
He had a hammer. He had a road map, and he had like rope and a tarp, and he was on. I mean, it was clear by the stuff that they found in his car. He was on the way to dispose of a body after he was done with her.
Good grief!
And that was right here in Arkansas. But what Alex Rosen says is that this reminds me of when departments have no choice but to arrest our pedophiles, despite trying everything not to, then proceed to take full credit for it. Great job. He's exactly right, because oftentimes they call the law enforcement, hey, we've caught them, here are the receipts, here's all the messages, here's him at the spot, and so many of these towns don't want to arrest these people. And it's sick, man.
If J.D. Vance is smart, and I think the evidence is there, they'll have Tim Walz in handcuffs by October.
Yes. That's exactly right. And but
Tim Walz, Keith Ellison, and a whole handful of others, if they want to invigorate and motivate the electorate, and they want to keep power, they'll hold the people responsible. And I'm not just saying target Democrats. I'm saying hold the people responsible for the fraud accountable.
Yes.
Because that Nick Shirley stuff invigorated tens of millions of Americans that saw that and infuriated them. That's right.
Yeah. Kash Patel responds to Walz. Come again, the FBI and DOJ with our DHS partners drafted and executed every search warrant today, but go ahead and take credit for our work while we smoke out the fraud-plaguing Minnesota under your governorship.
Amen to that.
Yeah, I mean, and again, I've not been a big fan of Kash Patel.
Right.
But give credit where credit is due. Yeah, that's an appropriate response, because it was such an odd thing for him to do, and you just kind of wonder, like, how many millions of dollars were laundered through the Quality LEARING Center and then tithed back to Governor Tim Walz in some way.
Yeah, he's trying to give himself the credit for state law enforcement and state agencies. That's not what happened here.
Right. All it was the federal government. Listen to what happened. The feds called the local and state authorities and said, hey, just so you know, we're coming tomorrow.
The state agencies looked the other way for freaking
decades.
Yeah.
The only
Are you out of your mind, Waltz?
The only coordination that happened was a phone call. Hey, we're gonna go raid some businesses, just so you know, because they are required to let the local authorities know. Really, they're only really required to let the county sheriffs know, in my opinion, what they've got going on that day. But
yeah, that again, my prediction and my hope is that Tim Walz and his ilk and Gavin Newsom go out in handcuffs for looking the other way toward the fraud, and they get them caught.
I don't want them. I don't want them going out for looking the other. I mean, yeah, if that's what you got to do. I know.
You think there are receipts,
dude? That's the whole point of this. Do you think they really cared? The lower middle tier leftists, they really cared. We've got to end stereotypes that these are third worlders that can't run their own businesses. So we'll give them businesses. We'll give them fake businesses so that we can sleep good at night, knowing that everybody's equal. And so that was that. But these schemes don't happen to just pacify the leftists. They know exactly what they're doing. Tim Walz knows these guys couldn't run a lemonade stand.
Yeah.
They couldn't run a lemonade stand, and he knows it. He's only doing it. The only way you get the political will to do this is if that money comes back to them.
Yeah.
And in some way, shape, or form, that's exactly what happened. This was a way to get, at bare minimum, taxpayer money to finance Democrat campaigns.
Yeah.
And maybe even Republican campaigns. Who knows?
Yeah, this post by him is weird because up until now, he played the Homer Simpson backing into the bush.
Yes.
Meme.
Yes.
That's what I thought of Tim Walz over the last month or so was the gif of Homer Simpson like backing up into the bush to get out of the limelight. I'm not going to run for governor now. But,
yeah, that's right. I forgot he dropped out of the race.
But Newsom, on the other hand, is still going full bore. So we'll see what they come up with.
And we also have another report. The Trump administration found 14,000 food stamp recipients in a single state driving luxury cars like Ferraris, Lamborghinis, and Maseratis, according to Secretary Rollins. That's what is it? Is it Brooke? Yeah. The agricultural secretary.
Get some of that money back to the farmers.
Boy, that they need it. And on that,
she is not doing enough for our farmers.
Anna Paulina Luna is talking about the farm bill, actually. So all of you Arkansas farmers, listen up. Congressman Anna Paulina Luna says, we will blow up the farm bill if sections 10205, 10206, and 10207 are not removed from the farm bill. Section 10205 would shield pesticide makers from liability, weaken warning labels, and put foreign chemical corporations above the health of American families. So she is
Good for her.
Not a fan of that, and I'm not either.
No.
She also said that Thune is blocking voter ID. It's Thune. He controls the Senate. So she agrees with me. I mean, we're all saying that, but I'm telling you, like, the idea, though, well, I just can't do anything to get Lisa Murkowski to... No. Yeah, you could. I don't believe for a second
I'm starting
that
to figure out that I was completely wrong on that. And
I mean...
And it's a sobering reminder that, people in that position, in his position, they either lead or they don't.
Yeah. That's exactly right.
We do not have a leader in the Senate, and it's sad. Hold on, though. It's not like we have for a very long time, though. I think policy of low expectations may have gotten the best of me anyway, because I never felt like we had much of a leader with Mitch McConnell either. So,
yeah, of course,
it is what it is.
Also, the Virginia Supreme Court officially denied Democrats' motion to reinstate the 10-1 congressional map, refusing to pause the lower court order which blocks certification. So that means that the election will not be certified until this thing is fully litigated at the state Supreme Court of Virginia. Just an update for you there. In other news, Anthony Fauci's former advisor has been indicted in his role in the COVID-19 cover-up. This is by Shane Fisher over at Patriot TV. Top Fauci advisor indicted for concealing records in COVID origins probe. The Department of Justice has finally taken formal action against one of the key figures in the federal government's handling of the COVID-19 pandemic. David Morens, a longtime senior advisor to Anthony Fauci at the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases, was indicted Tuesday on charges including conspiracy against the United States, destruction or falsification of records, concealment of records, and aiding and abetting. This development marks a significant step toward restoring public trust eroded by years of evasion, deletions, and apparent efforts to shield inconvenient truths about the pandemic's origins. For too long, Americans watched as officials in positions of immense power treated transparency as optional and the public's right to know as an inconvenience to be maneuvered around. So what did he do exactly? Zero Hedge, their coverage, as Fauci advisor David Morens admits in an email that he, quote, learned from our FOIA lady, Freedom of Information Act lady, here how to make emails disappear after I am FOIA'd, but before the search starts. And this reads here, for those of you that can't see, It is David Morans saying, "You are right. I need to be more careful. However, as I mentioned once before, I learned from our FOIA lady here how to make emails disappear after I'm FOIA'd. But before the search starts, so I think we're all safe. Plus, I deleted most of those earlier emails after sending them to Gmail. You go to prison for that. You go to jail for that. You go to jail. Jail. Go to jail. Like, that's...
Jail.
Yep.
Directly
to jail. Also, they said, Fauci advisor David, no worry about FOIAs. And in April 21st, 2021, he worked with co-conspirators Peter Daszak, and others to keep COVID schemes secret from public inquiry by handing stuff to him at work or his house. Jeez. Look, P.S. I forgot to say there's no worry about FOIAs. I can either send stuff to Tony on his private Gmail or hand it to him at work or at his house. He's too smart to let colleagues send him stuff that could cause trouble. These people are guilty of committing crimes against humanity because, I mean, we know this for a lot of reasons, but this was such a intelligence operation against the people. This was more of the intel oligarchy coming after the people, and they were doing it to rig the 2020 election. They were doing it as, I think, a global clinical trial of their new mRNA technology. I mean, there's so much here. But it was clearly, this shows you that these people were not just incompetent. They were actively running a psychological operation that had real-world blood costs. People are dead because of it.
Yeah.
And Fauci needs to be indicted as well, obviously. But you've got this pardon, but you've got the administration that still has to pick back up this AutoPen scandal. And
is that the first time you saw that email?
Yeah, that's the first time I've seen it. Had you seen it before?
No. That's the problem. It's April 21st of 2021. And we're coming up real close onto May of 2026. How nice would it have been before all of our lives were turned upside down for so long if we had known this crap was happening? But we didn't, because we had the Biden administration covering everything up and telling us all that we were crazy and that we were conspiracy theorists and we didn't know what we were talking about and that we needed to shut up and put our mask on and that we needed to mask our 5-year-old children who were trying to learn how to read in school.
Preach, man. It's pretty, I mean, I mean, you've got to feel different about this than I do because you lived it, because you're in the healthcare industry. This has got to hit you totally. I mean, I know you knew that. I know you've since reconciled how bad COVID was on your industry and how it operated on lies. But this is, I mean, these are the guys that your hospital administrators were taking orders from. Not advice, orders.
The saddest thing about seeing colleagues in the industry and physicians and those providing the care for individuals who are sick, and on top of that, being and the emotions and gut-wrenching reality of what was happening in real time, in addition to them being muzzled, it compounded everything, Paul.
Yep.
It hurt them and hurt everyone so bad. That muzzling and that aspect of the pandemic, and knowing that people like this were sending emails like that, it's really hard not to really go full Rob. I love Rob's passion and enthusiasm when he gets fired up, but this is the stuff that kept so many of us up at night for months and months at a time. And you'd have these private, very, very private conversations offline and away from people that were listening in, and you could just see the nonsense and what didn't make any sense. You could just see it. And knowing that the people that the administrators making decisions for everyone in the country they were listening to these idiots, and they were the science.
Yeah, and they're criminal.
And you were told to trust them.
Yeah, and as they are literally criminals, and they're talking amongst each other about. They're admitting to each other. I mean, this was clearly a I mean, we already knew this, but I mean, this is just more evidence that this is a coordinated effort to destroy the country, to put the people of this country through many different levels of hell.
Yeah.
To accomplish a mission, and that mission was a lot of things.
Yeah.
But one of them was, we're going to do mail-in ballots and we're going to rig the election.
Oh, yeah.
Like, that was one of the missions.
Yeah, the ripple effect, you're right, was just,
it's terrible. Okay, so I know you got to go here in a minute, but I want one more story before we go to break. We've got to do something about this. The Republicans in Congress attached this AI stuff to your car. It's going to be rolling out really soon. Anna Paulina Luna, she commented on this video here. She says, I voted against this. Unfortunately, too many Republicans sided with Democrats and it passed. Every new car in the U.S. will be required by law to have tech that puts constant surveillance on the driver by 2027. That's next year. And we know this because this guy, Justin Don Vlogs, has made a very informative video about the patents that Ford has secured on this technology.
Come on! No! Now imagine there was an emergency outside the truck, an accident, something terrible on the ranch with a chainsaw. And I jump in this truck, but the truck, it won't shift into drive. Why? Because the cameras and sensors inside this cab won't let it shift, because it detects my eyes are big, there's a lot of emotion, there's some panic, and it doesn't feel that I'm fit to drive. Now, that's not science fiction. That is happening because Ford just filed the patents. Ford actually has a series of patents down at the U.S. Patent and Trade Office that deal with the sensors and cameras inside the cab of their truck. And if the sensors in that truck determine that you're not fit to drive, that truck will not actually shift from park to drive. Now, they already have a system called telematics, and that's where they can actually pull up cameras in real time inside the cab of their fleet vehicles. Now, they actually market this to insurance companies because the truth is, this is really about who owns the data and who owns the liability. Now, your name might actually be on the title of this truck, and you may have paid for it, but you don't own it. Now, Ford didn't file just one patent. They filed a stack of them, all within months of each other. Are you sitting down? Get this. This Ford technology patent doesn't just watch you. This one puts you in jail. Ford filed a patent, serial number 0104469, where the system takes your biometric data, your face, your iris, and your fingerprint, and it runs it through a criminal database in real time. While you're sitting in your own truck, think about what that means. You wake up one morning. You walk out to your driveway, you climb into a vehicle with your name on the title, on property with your name on the deed. And before you go anywhere, before you've done a single thing wrong, your truck is already running your face through a law enforcement database. Ford's own patent language describes this as potentially useful for police. They wrote that. Ford wrote that into the patent application. So the question isn't whether this technology can be abused. Ford already told you who it's for. You just didn't know that you were buying a cop car. Now I'm going to walk you through a few of these patents. Lip reading, cameras inside your cab, machine learning trained on lip movement datasets, cloud connected, your face processed somewhere you'll never see, stored as long as they want. Acoustic lip reading, if the cameras aren't enough, the system emits inaudible sound waves and reads the echoes bouncing off of your mouth. You can't see it, it's just happening. Biometrics, your face, fingerprint, iris, filed February 2024, and it was published August 2025. This one is assigned a serial number because it's real. Ad listening. This is scary. It monitors conversations between everyone in the cab. It serves targeted ads based on what you and others are talking about.
So essentially, you get
Good grief.
You know, you get caught drunk driving, and I don't know what it is now, but you know, I think you do this enough. Well, the court says if you want to drive, you've got to put a breathalyzer in your car in order to get your car to start because we don't trust you. That's a punishment. It is clearly a punishment. If you want to be on the road, you have proven yourself to be untrustworthy. We don't want you drunk on the road. You got to have a breathalyzer. This is basically punishing the entire country before we've committed any crime, before we've demonstrated that we're a danger at all. It is the technology to literally enslave us. And honestly, it's going to get so ridiculous, people are just not even going to drive anyway. And I think that's the point of this as well. Why don't you just go to full automation and just let the cars, where we have no autonomy anymore at all. This has got to stop. Republicans have got to do something about this. We cannot allow this type of technology to be mandated in cars. And you know what? It's very convenient that with Cash for Clunkers under Barack Obama, all about saving the environment. But you know what they did?
Horrible thing.
They took great cars and they cemented the engines. They literally made sure that these cars will never be used again because they didn't have computer chips.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, it is a brave new world, and this is where we're at.
Yeah. Cash for Clunkers was definitely part of a psyop for sure.
Well,
I already feel low jacked enough. Like, this is obviously insane, but I already feel low jacked enough. Like, my insurance company has me download this app that tracks my driving and gives me a discount for being a good driver. Like, so part of me feels like I'm a little bit low jacked as it is, and but this whole thing seems like a wild abuse.
And it is. And the only real
time to put duct tape over any sensors in a vehicle, and no, that's not gonna happen.
Well, the only real pushback, it's the consistent pushback from technology like this for the most part is our younger generation. The older generation just doesn't seem to care, And I don't know if it's because they have a lack of imagination.
Yeah.
That technology has always been an improvement, but they just don't seem to care, Eric. I know you got to roll, brother. We're going to go to break, but I appreciate you hanging out with me today.
Great conversation, my friend.
All right, folks, we got to take a break. We got to take a break. We got to take a break real quick, reset things here. Going to give Eric a little time to exit the studio. Don't go anywhere. We're going to be back here in just a moment. Thanks so much for watching.
The other things that we're seeing, more and more use for is even vascular issues. So one of the mechanisms that red light, near-infrared light, or red VIVE works is stimulation of the mitochondria and stimulation of nitric oxide production. So when nitric oxide is released in cells, it vasodilates cells. It reduces inflammation. It moves blood. It brings blood flow to areas. So if folks that have issues with ulcers or burns or wounds, it can help stimulate increased blood supply, and you need blood to heal. So that can open up different avenues for peripheral artery disease, for neuropathic pain syndromes. And so that's one of the other areas for nerve injury or nerve pain that we can leverage this type of medicine.
For centuries, light has been used to heal. Awaken the body with Red Vive.
The Paul Harrell Program.
Welcome back to the program, everybody. So I want to welcome a new sponsor, a new advertiser of this program that you haven't heard from, and it's, of course, Pet Club 24/7. So as part of the MAHA agenda, we talk a lot about that. We talk a lot about getting healthy. There's a lot of people that are aware of the medical industrial complex or big pharma or the toxins in our food. However you want to square it, more and more people are aware of this, and they're trying to be more conscientious of what they put in their bodies. But you don't want to leave your pets out either. Your pets are in the same environment you are, And so I thought it would be good to let you guys know about Pet Club 24/7. And to do that, I wanted to talk to the founders of that great company, Kurt and Kristen Ludlow, and they join us now. Kurt and Kristen, welcome back to the show. How are you guys?
Doing great. How are you doing? Glad to be here.
Yeah, absolutely. So I wanted to talk about just first of all, just tell the audience what made you guys get into this, because you guys have incredible treats and food for pets, but it's natural. It's natural goodness for your dogs, for your cats, and you've got stuff for humans. Tell us how you started on this journey.
Sounds great. So it began almost 30 years ago. Our partner here with the company, his mother was dealing with a pretty catastrophic issue that affected her lung. And she was attending Sloan Kettering out in New York. They did everything medically they could for her. Nothing worked out. And it got down to where they gave her just 2 months to live. And so he was doing like any son would do. He was reaching out to friends and family members regarding her circumstances. And his cousin, who is a physician in Japan, reached back to him and said, look, we have a proprietary way we extract a mushroom. And I want to send it out to you, give it to her. Let's just see if it might help her in any way, maybe extend her life. And so she started taking it. And after about the first month, she noticed quite a considerable difference in the way she was feeling. Month 2, more improvement. Month 3, she felt as if the issue was no longer there. And she goes back to Sloan Kettering 4.5 months after they sent her home. And they indeed find that that issue is no longer there. She had no evidence of disease. And so they were flabbergasted. They wanted to know what she had done. And she explained, and they asked for all the information they could get from her nephew. And of course, being that he was a physician, he was able to supply that to them. And that's where the first clinical study started in the United States regarding this particular mushroom and the proprietary way it's extracted. And so from there, went to Sloan Kettering, MD Anderson, Harvard. It's been published in the Library of Medicine many times. And what they concluded is it doesn't cure, it doesn't mitigate, it doesn't prevent, but specifically it modulates the immune system. It gets the immune system running optimally. And we all know that if we can get that working effectively, it's our first defense. It's the key, to really fixing any type of issue we could be dealing with, from the smallest of concerns to the most catastrophic. And so from there, for years, Simon would tell anyone that would listen to him about his mother's story. And people would try it out. They would see amazing things happen to him, like Simon's mother did. And it wasn't just people that were dealing with illness. It was people that were healthy. They wanted to keep their immune system running optimally and stay healthy. And it's just been remarkable over the years, what has happened for many people. However, 10 years ago, we started realizing just what was happening. The same things that were happening to people because of the foods, treats, and toys and different things that we're ingesting and breathing and dealing with. It's affecting our immune system and causing the issues we have is happening in our animals. And that was because our partner, Steve, his dog, 4 years old, died of cancer. 2 of his children's dogs died of cancer, all within just a couple of months of each other, and all between the ages of 4 and 8. And our other partner's Gino, 6-year-old German Shepherd. And we started looking at this mushroom for animals and found that it did the same things. There's no side effects. It doesn't interact with medications. You can't take too much. You can't get addicted to it. And so we formed the company. And that's where Pet Club came about. And we put it in healthy foods, because if you don't know this, here in the United States, and all of North America, pretty much the whole world, is that 6 million new cases of diabetes every year right here in the U.S. Our pets are living half as long as they used to. In the 70s, the average age of a golden retriever was 17, and today that average age is 9. 65% of our pets are getting cancer today. It's just crazy what's happening as a result of that. And that's why we said, hey, look, we're not going to sit back and watch it. This is our own MAHA movement, make animals healthy again.
It sounds like it's a MAHA movement, but you guys were ahead of the curve, by a long time. What mushroom is it? Real quick, specifically, what mushroom is it?
Yeah, it's called the Coriolis versicolor mushroom. And what's unique about the way that we extract it, most companies or manufacturers will do it while it's fully fruited in its fully formed body. But a lot of the bioactive compounds are really dispersed at that point. So we extract it in its mycelial phase when it's still a little baby. So it has a lot of the polysaccharides and polyamines that help, like Kurt said, modulate the immune system. And the immune system is responsible for repairing, rebalancing, regulating, restoring all of the systems, everything inside of our pets' bodies and our own bodies. So it is the most important system to support. And we found that this Coriolis versicolor mushroom has the most scientifically validated mechanisms that are available. There are over 400 published studies on what this mushroom does for the immune system, especially this pharmaceutical grade extract that we provide is very pure, it's very potent. And it's been remarkable what's been happening for dogs and cats and horses and even people. We always joke that all of our products have been tested on people first before we found out they were safe for animals, because we've tried them all and everything's so validated. But it really is just a perfect combination of the traditional wisdom and that ancient wisdom that's meeting modern day science and being validated by researchers, the most reputable researchers in the world.
Yeah, so I played a few of the testimonial videos from people that have used Pet Club 24/7 on the show yesterday, and they fared today as well. And one of the, I mean, I know it does a lot of great things for dogs at any age, but one of the reoccurring, I think, issues that this solves is, you know, older animals, you know, your best friend, you know, they're getting on up there in age, they're having some problems, and what a lot of people wouldn't give to have, you know, another year or 2 years with their animal. If they take, well, I think the one of the most popular products, correct me if I'm wrong, is the Mush Puppy product, which is right here on the screen. Mush Puppies plus dog biscuits with Coriolis versicolor mushroom. Forgive me if I can't pronounce it correctly.
Nailed it.
Thank you very much. And you obviously get if you use the link on your screen, you get a 15% discount. So that would be paulharrell.petclub247.com. And but I know that's a recurring theme, and because I've seen the testimonial videos, I picked 2 of them to kind of run on a cycle, but I've got access to a whole library. This product works for dogs of all ages, but I think specifically for a lot of dogs that have been in this toxic environment their entire lifetime, this is just decreasing or helping their immune system. But it sounds to me like it's also a very powerful anti-inflammatory.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's detoxing their bodies and helping the inflammatory response and all different types of things. And you're gonna.
Well, I was just going to say, you know, to back up what you're saying there, we have so many people that call us and tell us that their dogs are acting, you know, 4 and 5 and 6 years younger again when we're talking an elderly dog. And so, yes, it's not just for a dog that might be dealing with something. It's keeping them, extending their lives and keeping them around a lot longer. And that's been so big with that. And, you know, one of the biggest testimonials, if you don't mind me sharing this, is when we first started getting this out, we had 2 very close friends. One, his dog, he was about to put him down. He was a husky, he was 14 and a half years old. He had an autoimmune issue, and it would affect his paw pads. If he stepped on cement, pavement, the tile in his home, it would just peel it off. And they dealt with that for several years, but right before they were going to put him down, that final month, his hair was coming out in clumps, eyes were completely whited over, had 7 lumps down his side. And the vet didn't diagnose him as cancerous, but believed they probably were. But due to the age, they didn't want to put him through that. And they were carrying him outside. And he didn't, you know, that's his family member. He didn't want to put her down. He was struggling with it. And we got the mushroom in his hands. And he calls 4 days later and he says, I answer the phone. He says, "What did you give my dog?" And I said, "Oh, no, is everything okay?" And he said, "She just jumped on the couch next to me." He goes, and I said, "That's amazing." He goes, "No, you don't understand. She hasn't done this in 1.5 years. How could this be happening this quick? Do you think this is right?" And I said, "I can't answer that, you know, for sure." And he goes, "Well, we're doing nothing different." And after right around 30 days, paw pads, no problem. Hairs wasn't coming out. That crystallization, her eyes completely cleared up. And within 4 to 6 months, all those lumps are gone. She lived to be just almost 20.
Yeah.
And she didn't pass away due to illness. It was actually due to an accident. They believe she had lived a lot longer. So we get all types of stuff like that.
And you talk about getting that extra year, that extra time with your pet, but you never want to do that at the expense of their quality of life. And so it's neat that there is a mushroom like this. It's no different from eating a mushroom on a salad. It's just a whole food. It doesn't interact with any medications or treatments. You can't get addicted. You can't overdose. There aren't any side effects. So the best part about Zenta's story was not only that extra almost 5 years that they had, but that during that time, going on 5-mile hikes, playing in the lake, swimming in the lake, playing with the puppies, meeting the grandchildren that she would have never been able to meet. And now they have videos of the grandbabies laying on her and cuddling with her. And this is the same dog that just a couple years earlier you couldn't even pet because she would whimper in pain. So that really is what drives us and motivates us, is those types of experiences, and not only helping resolve what's happening, but giving them a better quality of life, and even being more preventative. A lot of the treatments and stuff are banking on us being reactive, when we can just be proactive and get them the immune support now, so that in the future we don't have to make those really hard decisions. And that really is our heart, to help animals and to help pet parents navigate through all that hard stuff.
I love it, and that's what I wanted to tell the audience right there. That's why I wanted to have you guys on. I really appreciate it. I want to encourage the audience to, if this sounds appealing to you, I don't know how I wouldn't if you have a dog or a cat or a horse, go to Paul Harrell. That's paulharrell.petclub247.com. If you go to the link, you get the discount, right? And you'll see what the normal price is if you scroll down, but the price that you see is because of the link. And try this out. And I think what's going to end up happening if you try it out is it'll be something that you want to get a supply of every month, or every time you run out, you're going to want to have this. And so I really appreciate it. Kurt and Kristen, thank you guys so much for coming on the program. I want to give you guys the last word.
Yeah, I would just say that, if they do go and they do shop, there's a variety of different products, and just focus on the things that have the mushroom in it, and you're going to see some great results from that.
All right.
And thank you for having us on, Paul. And I just like to also, let you know that the discount's already built into the price on the website, so you don't have to remember any promo code or anything like that. If you go to that link, it's already naturally built in. So
perfect.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you guys. God bless, and want to do it again soon and talk about other products. So, all right,
Sounds
folks.
great.
Thank you.
Absolutely,
God bless.
folks. We're going to take a quick break. Don't go anywhere. Back here in just a moment.
My name is John, and this is my beautiful wife, Lori, and this is our Star Wars Ewok. His name is Scout, and we have Scout for about 11 years now, and we started noticing about 3 years ago he started slowing down. He was unable to jump on the bed. He was kind of a little bit grumpier, and when my daughters, Macy and Mariah, would take him on walks, he would walk for about 30 yards, and then he'd lay down, and they'd carry him the rest of the way. So I heard about Pet Club 24/7 and about the products from a gentleman that I really trust and share a friendship with. And he mentioned to me that they have products that are going to help him with his arthritis, help him build his immune system. And I said, okay, no problem. Let's try them out. And I kid you guys not, within about 2 to 3 days, we started noticing a little difference. And then we took Scout on a walk probably about a week after we started using the products, the mush puppies, and he would walk the entire way. He would walk at least a mile, and it's just been completely amazing. He's a new dog. He's 11 years old, which is around 80 years in dog years, and he's just happy. He's more energetic. He's not the grumpy old man he used to be, and we're just so thankful. And it was perfect timing because we lost our boxer Yankee about a year and a half ago, and it was really hard on us. So I'm so thankful for Pet Club 24/7 for the products that they offer. Imagine if you could have your best friend around one more day or one more week or even one more year. I'm so blessed and thankful that we were able to find this company and find these products for Scout. So thank you guys. Give it a shot. We appreciate you. God bless everyone.
The Paul Harrell Program.
All right, folks, welcome back to the show. As we wind things down here, got a little bit of time left with you guys. During that segment, during the break here, I was able to pull this up. I am not sure if this is entirely accurate because I haven't listened to it, but I suspect that it is. James Comey has now issued a response to the grand jury indicting him on 2 felonies. So he gave a very flippant response the last time he was indicted. Let's see what he says this time.
Well, they're back. This time about a picture of seashells on a North Carolina beach a year ago. And this won't be the end of it. But nothing has changed with me. I'm still innocent. I'm still not afraid. And I still believe in the independent federal judiciary. So let's go. But it's really important that all of us remember this is not who we are as a country. This is not how the Department of Justice is supposed to be. And the good news is we get closer every day to restoring those values. Keep the faith.
Okay, so the guy is clearly still a raging psychopath. Raging psychopath. Now, I mean, I don't expect him to do anything different, but, you know, it's patently obvious to most Americans that this is at bare minimum. I mean, if you want to be the most cynical person in the world, you have to say this is tit for tat. You went after Trump, he's going after you. Maybe you shouldn't have done what you and your people. Of course, he was part of framing President Trump for treason. So maybe you shouldn't have done that, and now you wouldn't be experiencing these consequences. The idea that what has happened is unprecedented is ridiculous. What was unprecedented is what happened to Trump in 2016 and what has happened to him since. So pretty incredible stuff. If you're just joining us, James Comey was indicted today for threatening the President of the United States when he posted this to Instagram, 8647. He claimed he found this formation of seashells on the beach. Of course, we talked about earlier how this is preposterous. It was terrible behavior for the head of the FBI to ever do something like this in light of Trump surviving what happened at Butler or surviving what happened with Ryan Routh, the Ukrainian recruiter who was in the bushes at the golf club. But the one of the head spooks in all the land can't make messages like that. You just can't do it. Sorry. It is reasonable for us to conclude you were sending a message, not just a message to NPC radicals that are on Reddit, but to your army. And let's be clear, people like James Comey have an army of loyalists who are still inside the DOJ and the FBI and the other intel agencies that think that this guy they don't really think he's a Boy Scout, but but they're loyal to him because they agree with him. We're going to continue monitoring this story as much as we can. I want to introduce you, though, to this guy. I don't know if you've ever heard. You probably have heard of this story, but this is a story I wanted to cover because it's new to me, or at least I think I've heard about it in passing. I want you to meet a guy by the name of Patrick Scruggs. If you are a J6er, you likely know who this person is. If you're somebody who's been following the J6 cases over the last 4 years, then you certainly know who this is. A story by Tampa Bay Times reporting that after Howard Franklin Bridge stabbing, a former federal prosecutor pleads guilty, and he's sentenced to 90 days in jail. A former Tampa federal prosecutor on Monday apologized to the man he stabbed during a bizarre encounter on the Howard Franklin Bridge 3 years ago, pleaded guilty to felony charges, and was led away to serve 3 months, 90 days, in a county jail. Patrick Scruggs, 41, initially claimed self-defense after his arrest and tried unsuccessfully to have the case dismissed under Florida's Stand Your Ground law. On Monday, in the courtroom, Scruggs was contrite and apologized to Blake Sharp for what happened that day. Quote, "It was a very chaotic and hectic situation, and I agree with you. In retrospect, I should have just called 911. I'm really sorry I stabbed you for the extent of your injuries and what you've had to go through." The former prosecutor for the U.S. Attorney's Office in Tampa pleaded guilty to 1 count each of aggravated assault with a deadly weapon and aggravated battery. Judge Keith Meyer accepted the negotiated plea deal that he told Scruggs was a golden opportunity. Meyer sentenced Scruggs to 90 days in jail, and he's got to pay $100,000 to the victim. The sentence was largely the result of Sharp's decision not to push for harsher punishment. During Monday's hearing, he took the stand and explained why, that he had his own criminal history, and who knows what's going on with this little transaction. But basically the victim said, hey, just give him a slap on the wrist. What exactly happened 3 years ago? Well, let's see here. The plea resolves a case that began with a car crash on September 26, 2023. During the morning rush hour in the southbound lanes of the bridge, Sharp, now 38, who was driving a Lexus, stopped in traffic and slumped over into the passenger seat, according to court records. He says he fainted. Sharp did not immediately respond, as this other driver by the last name of Gahoff walked to get a tool to break the window to check on him. Sharp suddenly sped forward, crashing into the back of Gahoff's car. He then backed up before veering into the left lane, where he collided with Scruggs' Honda Civic. Scruggs got out carrying a small pocket knife and broke Sharp's car window. Sharp would not respond when Scruggs told him to get out. The car door was locked. I realized something was wrong, and my first thought was I just needed to figure out what was going on, Scruggs said during the Stand Your Ground hearing. I need to stop the driver, whatever's going on, and that's when I grabbed the pocket knife, because it was the first thing I could think of in the panic of the moment. Scruggs used the back of the knife to shatter the window, and as he reached to turn the car off, a struggle ensued. Sharp then tried to accelerate, documents state. It was then that Scruggs stabbed him. Oh, really? I'm just going to start stabbing you. So this is what this guy did. There you see the photo of him. And by the way, there was video of this. Bystanders, if it wasn't for video of this, the story he concocted about self-defense, look at this guy. He got his hands out of the window, bloodied, because he was just been stabbed by this guy. And you know what? This guy, okay, right here, this gentleman, Patrick Scruggs, is one of the key prosecutors for the federal government when it came to J6 cases in Florida. And after doing this, after this episode where he now only gets 90 days in jail, he still gets to keep his law license. As part of this plea deal, he still gets to keep his law license. Now, here is the lectern guy. You guys remember the lectern guy at J6 that was walking around with a lectern? Legendary guy. This is his reaction to Patrick Scruggs.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am leaving the Pinellas County Courthouse where my initial prosecutor, Patrick Scruggs, just entered a plea agreement with the state. If you don't know who Patrick Scruggs is, he is my initial prosecutor from January 6th. He was caught on camera a couple of years ago breaking the window of a motorist vehicle and stabbing him repeatedly over and over again in front of a dozen witnesses. The plea deal was entered today. It was accepted by the judge, and the plea deal is as such. He will only serve 90 days in county jail. 90 days. For 3 felonies that would have or could have resulted in a life sentence had he gone before a jury of his peers. So he just obfuscated the whole system. On top of this, it's 5 years of probation, but here's the kicker. He gets to keep his law license at the end of all of this. He'll go back to practice prosecuting people and putting them in prison for the same things that he did. I can guarantee they won't get the same deals that he did. I went to prison for 75 days for misdemeanor trespassing, and this guy's going to serve 15 more for stabbing someone over and over again. Make it make sense.
You can't make it make sense. And it just goes to show you that if you got the right pedigree, if you're part of the right club, crime tends to pay. Crime tends to pay off for you. We have a 2-tiered justice system. This guy just was walking in the Capitol. Yeah, he grabbed the lectern. But this guy, his prosecutor had what, could arguably describe as some sort of road rage incident. If you get Well, it just is what it is, folks. It's just one of those stories. It's absolutely insane. To lighten the mood, we're going to leave you with this. This is Lieutenant Colonel P over on X, posting a funny story. Let me see if there's more context here of who this actually is. No, I don't really think so. But take a listen to this military officer recounting a funny speech.
I'd like to leave you with a short story about a young Marine named Ricky. It seems that after fighting in Sangen for 4 months, Ricky received a Dear John letter from his girlfriend back home. It read as follows: Dear Ricky, I can no longer continue our relationship. The distance between us is too great. I must admit that I have cheated on you twice since you've been gone, and it's not fair to either of us. I'm sorry. Please return the picture of me that I sent you. Regrets, Becky. He asked his fellow Marines for any snapshots that they could spare of their girlfriends, sisters, ex-girlfriends, or cousins. In addition to his picture of his now ex-girlfriend, Ricky included all the other pictures of the pretty girls he had collected from his buddies. There were 57 photos in the envelope that he sent back to Becky, along with this short note. Dear Becky, I'm sorry, but I can't quite remember who the hell you are. Please take your picture from the pile and send the rest back to me.
That's all the time that we have for this edition of the Paul Harrell program. I want to remind everybody to go to redvivehealth.org. That's redvivehealth.org if you want to learn about life-enhancing, I think life-saving red light panels. Of course, we're talking about near infrared light as well as red light. One boosts the collagen. The other penetrates deeper into your body, stimulating the mitochondria of your cells where you get, just really incredible benefits, energy. You get better sleep. You won't even believe. You just got to go read for yourself all of the amazing things that it does. You see there, you got the different options there, several different machines, different tiers. They even are now selling a hat to regrow hair. This stuff does do amazing things for hair growth as well, because it increases blood flow to these areas. It's basically called, you can look it up, it's called photobio or biophoto modulation, and these are not cheap devices, but they last a really long time. They have financing available. They have a 60-day return policy, and you can save 35% off of these red light panels if you use my name, Paul, or you go to that link, redvivehealth.org/Paul. Either one works. So I would really appreciate you guys doing this if you haven't looked into it yet. It's incredible. I use it almost every day. What the red light does is something very, very special. It's just, I mean, I'm amazed. I had neck pain the other day. I've been doing some new workouts, trying to get into shape. Then I had neck pain. When I looked down, I just had this, it was so tight. I did 20 minutes 2 days ago, and woke up the next day, my pain was totally gone. What it does for inflammation, the anti-inflammatory properties are really, really good. So make sure you check that out if that's something you're interested in. I want to give a shout out to the rest of our sponsors: New Horizon Real Estate, Gateway Sight and Sound, 7 Weeks Coffee, and Sherrod Chiropractic. God bless everybody out there. We're going to hand it off to Secret America. If those of you watching on LFA TV, make sure to like the Rumble channel. And those of you who are watching Paul Harrell Program YouTube, please subscribe and click the little bell to receive notifications, and we will see you tomorrow.